When you hire woke activists, you shouldn't be surprised when they destroy your company from within. When you hire people who care far more about activism than they do about telling a quality story. When you hire people who care more about identity politics than in staying true to the character or the lore of these franchises, of these IPs, you shouldn't be surprised when they do something like this. And now Victoria Alonso, one of the top executives at Marvel Studios, is openly attacking and criticizing Bob Chapek, the CEO of Disney. And of course, it's all about the Parental Rights and Education Bill, the bill that has been gaslit by the mainstream media, by blue check marks, by the liberal elite, to be something called the Don't Say Gay bill, which is the most ridiculous thing I can possibly imagine. But that's where we are. And now we have headlines like this. Marvel Studios executive Victoria Alonso blasts Disney CEO Bob Chapek at the GLAAD Media Awards. And you know what? You had this coming, Bob Chapek. There is a reason why so quickly after this statement, this was just less than a month ago, Disney CEO Bob Chapek claims company is a force for inclusion, but doesn't want it to become a political football. That's what he said when initially asked by some employees about the Parental Rights and Education Bill. We're not a political football. We don't get involved in politics. Well, unfortunately for you guys, this is the audience you craved. This is the audience you wanted. You abandoned your old audience in favor of this new one that's only concerned with identity politics. So you reap what you fucking sow, Bob Chapek. And now even own top executives at his company are criticizing what he's doing and the handling of it. And when you hear some of the things Victoria Alonso says and the way she says them at the GLAAD Awards, when you realize she's just completely surrounded by 100% like-minded people, you'll realize some of the insanity of all this and why Victoria Alonso does have the power to destroy Marvel and has been for quite some time. But let's get into this. Marvel executive Victoria Alonso, infamous for claiming the X-Men name is outdated, recently blasted Disney CEO Bob Chapek while accepting the award for Outstanding Film for Eternals. That should tell you everything you need to know. That should tell you all the validity about the GLAAD Awards that you need to know. Obviously, the GLAAD Awards are completely based in essentially homosexual representation in film. And the outstanding film was Eternals. Holy shit, what a low bar. And back to the first thing, if you guys remember Victoria Alonso claiming the X-Men name is outdated, well, I'll remind you all about that. This is one of the people making big decisions with a ton of power at Marvel Studios. Someone who says something like this.
I don't know where the future is going. It's funny that people call it the X-Men. There's a lot of female superheroes in that X-Men group, so I think it's outdated.
It's funny that people use the name X-Men. There's a lot of female superheroes in that group, so I think it's outdated. This was back when she was out there talking about Captain Marvel, and she puts on full display for everyone just how woke and just how stupid and idiotic she is by making a statement like that. The idea that you feel like you should change the X-Men name because, well, you know, there's a lot of women and I think it might be outdated. There's been women in it since the very absolute beginning of this. Some of the most well-known characters from the X-Men happen to be women. And there's nothing wrong with the name. But because you're a woke activist, you would rather change that name and alienate an entire group of fans to satisfy your identity politics. This is disgusting, but this is Victoria Alonso. Let's move on. Deadline reports that while accepting the award, Alonso stated, if you're a member of the LGBTQIA, where's the plus? Where's the plus in the two, whatever you're supposed to put, 1, 2 plus, I don't know how many letters we're adding now, and you work at the Walt Disney Company. The last 2 or 3 weeks have been a sad event. I've asked Mr. Chapek for courage in a 45-minute sit down. I asked him to look around, and truly, if what we sell is entertainment for the family, we don't choose what family. Family's the entire room. Family's the family in Texas, Arizona, Florida, and my family in my home. She revealed the contents of their 45-minute conversation. She then said again, so I ask you again, Mr. Chapek, please respect. If we're selling family, take a stand against all these crazy, outdated laws. You know what? Let's just listen to Victoria Alonso speak, shall we? Let's listen.
So I ask you again, Mr. Chapek, please respect. If we're selling family, take a stand against all these crazy, outdated laws. Take a stand for the family.
So just keep in mind, just put this in perspective. Victoria Alonso is receiving an award for Outstanding Film for the Eternals, which is just laughable and insane. But if you can get past that and accept that this is actually a reality, she's accepting an award for Marvel Studios, something she did for Marvel, for Disney, and is taking the opportunity in front of an entire group of activists to slam CEO Bob Chapek and publicly pressure him into fighting what, even harder against the law? Is that what's going on? Walt Disney's already come out and they've said, we're going to do everything we can to repeal this law, the Parental Rights and Education Bill. We're going to do everything we can to make sure that for some reason in classrooms, teachers can talk about things to your students that you don't want them to. What does that have anything to do with Disney? But let's continue on, I guess.
Stop saying that you tolerate us. Nobody tolerates me, let me tell you that. You tolerate the heat in Florida, the humidity in Arizona and Florida, the dryness in Arizona and Texas, and you tolerate a tantrum in a 2-year-old, but you don't tolerate us. We deserve the rights to live, to love, and to have. More importantly, we deserve an origin story. Max.
This is what it's all about for woke activists. The story does not matter that you're telling. They gave Eternals the outstanding film. Clearly, they don't care about story. All they care about is virtue signaling. All they care about are taking these IPs and destroying them to form them into what they want. So when you hire someone like Victoria Alonso, someone who cares more about activism than the story, someone who cares more about virtue signaling and identity politics than these characters, it shouldn't be a surprise that the longer she stays around Marvel and the further down we get to Phase 4, you see what's coming out of Marvel. You see things that don't respect anything about where these characters came from. You see things that are pushing these characters that nobody wants, that everyone rejected, but now they're being pushed to the top in these films and in these TV series to satisfy woke activists. They will destroy your company just like Victoria Alonso and so many other people at Marvel have destroyed the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And for her to go out there and so vehemently go after the CEO of Disney while at an activist awards show, should tell you something. The woke lunatic activists, they have no fear about going out there and doing that, about publicly pressuring someone who they work for at an event like this. Bob Chapek, you might not have been there when all this stuff started happening. You might not have been CEO when all this stuff started taking place, but now that's where you are. Disney is a woke company. They are a political company, and their feet is being held to the fire by the very people that they hired. So many people there despise you, and it's good to see a lot of people waking up to this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching, everyone, and a huge shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram? Check out the description below. You'll find links to my PO box and my Patreon as well. And I'll talk to you guys later.